Here we go, yo.
Hey, hey, hello, welcome, guys. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you again. It's been so long.
It has been beautiful, but you know what? Sometimes when life happens, you need to just reboot and revive and revigorate,
Yes, I think
rethrive. I don't know.
everything, every thrive now, replenish, right? And then recharge and then come back and do it all over again, but in a better just mindset. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. I've missed everyone out there. Thank you for the loving and support that you guys have given me throughout these months that we've been away. So, welcome to the first episode of the newly rebranded The Influencers Connection Corner, formerly known as Rocky's Connection Corner. But as you know, we a new year, new style, new things, correct? I love it. I love it.
Exactly. You know what? I feel like you are really finding your voice more now over the course of the last year, girl. Like legit, it's so impressive to see you grow. And I think knowing yourself, right, really helps and all that. But even knowing yourself on LinkedIn, because even then, it's like another level, another layer. As you grow. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so thrilled to be here,
But
beautiful.
as always, that growth would not be possible without having the exact tribe that you need. And I know we alluded to this a little bit yesterday with Denise. Shout out, Denise, to you and the amazing talk that we had. Talking about authenticity and networking. And what better place to do it than LinkedIn? So shout out to you, love. Thank you so much. But today, oh my gosh, I have something, in my heart that I wanted to discuss. Company culture, hearts, heartbeat, just leading with heart. What does that mean to you, Sia?
You know what? It is meaning. You know what? When you do anything in life, there has to be some purpose, meaning, so that you get something out of it.
Mhm.
And leading with your heart, to me, means being authentic to yourself, to know that whatever it is that you're doing, it has impact, real impact.
Yes. And leading with heart and leading with kindness is definitely one of the things that has cemented myself, me on this platform. So I really, really, it's one of those things that finding other leaders who do that, it's amazing. So just to kind of bring, a quote that comes to mind is Simon Sinek's: customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And that goes back to leading with heart, correct?
100. As a salesperson, let me tell you, I could not sell anything if I didn't believe in the company, right? The product, you can sell a widget, you can sell, a phone, or in my case, a broken brush if you want to, right? But
Yeah.
your clients are looking for people who are going to take care of them, who believe in this organization they're investing their money, hard earned money into. So 100% I agree with this.
Mhm.
I mean, look, people, like, if you don't believe, know, like, and trust whomever you're collaborating with, working with, whatever, there's a lot of unproductive work that happens as a
Mhm,
result.
mhm, and a lot of unhappy people, when there's no heart, there's no passion, then there's like lost sense of purpose. So, and to
Yeah.
talk more about that, we have a special guest for the first time on this show. The inaugural show of the Influencers Connection Corner. I'm so thrilled to have her here today. So let's go ahead and roll the intro and then have her come and join us. So let's get ready for that.
Let's do it, kids.
Don't we just love this? We are so amazed. Thank you so much for joining us. The topic today is leading with heart. And our wonderful and amazing guest of the day is Miss Lyndsay Dowd. So let's go ahead and welcome her. Is she ready?
I'm ready. Hey,
Yay!
ladies. So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I love it, Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here today. I know it's a Saturday, it's family time.
Happy to do it.
However, we are always leading with heart. So the
Yes.
message needs to get out there. So we're going to do it, right? I love
Important
it.
stuff. Yes. You guys got a lot of good stuff at the top.
I love it. I love it, Lyndsay. Well, I've gotten to know you luckily through the Outlier Project. So shout out to all the top,
I love our top
individuals are
friends.
there. We love you guys. Shout out to Scott McGregor, Kathy Love, Andrew the Good. Oh my God, so many wonderful people. Thank you guys for always supporting and just for having this fantastic, phenomenal community of individuals like yourself, Lyndsay, who really, really lead with heart, lead from experience, right? So tell the audience a little bit about you, and then
Yeah,
we dive
sure.
right in.
Sure, I'd love to. So I spent 25 years in corporate America and 23 were climbing the ranks at IBM. I used to run big sales teams for them. And my family put in 105 years at IBM. So I was literally born into this big blue legacy. I was a big blue baby. And after 23 years had passed, I was ready for a change. Another company sought me out, said, come lead a sales team for us. I said, sure. So I left all my decorated career, my legacy behind, and I went to this other company. And in 6 months, they fired me. And
My
anyone that
word.
knows me knows that was not part of my plan. I was gutted. I was sideways. It took so much strength and courage to be able to even talk about it. And
Yes.
after a month passed, I asked myself 3 questions. I said, what am I good at? What do I love to do? And how can I help people the most? And what I knew how to do was to build modern leaders and create irresistible culture that drives results. And so 2 years ago, I started my company, Heartbeat for Hire. I wrote a book. I started a podcast. I speak. I coach leaders and leadership teams on all of these things. And it's been a wild, wild ride, but so fulfilling. So
Oh
happy to
my
touch more.
goodness. Well, isn't that what entrepreneurship usually is, though? It's
Yeah.
a wild roller coaster, but at
Yes.
the end of the day, it's the most invigorating, and it really, really fulfills us. And I like to coin this term, fulfill us.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about, I know you touched upon being let go after
Yeah.
6 months.
Oh,
You
no,
you
I was
have
fired. Let's call it what it is. It was painful. And let me just say this. I'm not a quitter. I never would have left that job. And I was so anxious. I was
mm,
struggling so hard. I wasn't sleeping. I was second guessing myself. I wasn't relying on any of my power skills. And we're going to talk about power skills. I know we are, but I wasn't relying on my instincts, my sense of humor, my ability to read people, because I was second guessing myself. I was being micromanaged so hard, and they were
mhm,
asking me to micromanage. So if I had stayed, I anticipate I would have been in a really bad state, health wise, mentally, certainly emotionally. So it was a gift. I was shoved out of the nest, and it
mhm.
forced me to really uncover my purpose. And for that, I'm super grateful. So, yeah, whenever something like that happens, it is for sure rattling and stops your heart and makes you really question who you are. But, those accomplishments
Mhm,
of mine, those are my accomplishments. Those are facts. Those aren't
mhm,
feelings. And no matter how ugly that firing was, nobody took that away from me. That was mine. So
mhm.
anybody that has been laid off or fired like me, this is not the end of your road. There is so much that we can do to kind of keep you in the game and remind yourself of your goodness. And we can talk about all that.
Oh my goodness. Lindsay, I think you've touched upon so many different, little nuggets that we can definitely dive into. But the reality at the end of the day is people are going through this on a daily basis, and they may feel like they are alone out there in that journey.
Yeah.
You are not alone. And
No,
so we want to make sure that you understand that there are individuals out there who can help in that journey, who can help in guiding, who can help
totally.
actively helping, because at the end of the day, we are in this together. And I
Oh,
know I'm not trying to sound cliche, but it is,
no, sure.
we need to hear the words of encouragement that way.
Well, and there's a few ways to do that. I mean, when you think about um, within the company, there's of course mentorships, there's business resource groups, there's trying to connect with people and network, and then outside of the company is of course LinkedIn, and I'm kind of a power networker, so I treasure my time with people, and that it's so nice to see everybody, guys. Thanks
I
for saying
know.
hi. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Deb Curtis. I see you. Hi, Lonnie. Anyway, I will tell you that LinkedIn has absolutely changed everything for me. I doubled down hard on it when I started my company. I had a good sized network before I lost my job, but I wasn't paying attention to LinkedIn. I was like, every time I was mad because I got passed over for a promotion, I would go out to LinkedIn and I'm like, I'm going to find something new. And, that's not how it works.
We all do
Um,
that.
yeah, but I really got intentional about it. I mean, I'd been on it since like 2006, but I really became intentional with it over the last 2 years. And this is where I find my clients, my podcast guests, my referrals, my friends, my communities, like the Outlier Project. So it has really played a huge part in that. And for anybody that is a job seeker, please don't underestimate how important LinkedIn is to your journey. And there are so many people that want to help you. But can I just say one more thing about if you're in a company and you're struggling? Because the one thing that I want to talk about, we had something at IBM and I called it a culture of advocacy. And we did it really well. And I didn't realize it didn't exist in other places. But what this really was allowing executives to do what I called executive interviews. So you'd have somebody that's outside of your reporting chain, ideally someone, a few rungs beneath you, say, hey, I want to have a moment. Can we do 30 minutes, a coffee chat? I just want to hear more about you. You inspire me. And it gives them an opportunity to learn about somebody who's not on their team. And what this does is it exposes you in two ways. One, you're meeting someone you wouldn't normally get to meet. And two, you're really understanding the talent on your bench. So when you understand that you've got job openings, you can say, oh my gosh, I just talked to this person. She's fantastic. You need to talk to her. She'd be great for your role. So it exposes you in a good way, but it's a less formal mentorship program. It's just so good when you allow for that space. And leaders talk. They all want to know, like, do you know anybody that can fill this role? So when you're doing that kind of practice, you really do get to see people you wouldn't necessarily think about.
Oh my gosh. I mean, like I said, oh, I don't know if I'm getting a little feedback there.
No, you're good.
Actually, I'm hearing you actually. That's so weird. Is it on your laptop?
Yeah, it is on the laptop, but I think, yeah. So we're good. But anyhow, I would like to, before carrying over with the conversation, I definitely would like to see where people are tuning in from. I know I usually ask that and I didn't. So please, guys, let us know where you're tuning in the world. I love it. We're celebrating International Women's Day yesterday. It was really nice to see where people were tuning in from. So please let us know. But yes, Lyndsay, it is very important to just siphon down on those things and find information. And I think you've hit the nail right on the head when it comes to that. So can you share with us a specific moment, a success story, for example, where, you've seen dramatic improvements in regarding to like workplace culture?
It's important to remind people that culture is a feeling, and which makes a lot of old school leaders feel like it's fluffy and unnecessary. And I like to say that the whole world has changed around us. Our technology has changed. Our way we work has changed. We're all remote now. We all learned that through the pandemic. So everything around us has changed. Why wouldn't our leadership style need to change too? And so for the old school, usually the pale, male, and stale leaders that love to say, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. I'm so successful. Well, have you worked with a coach? Because the ones that do work with coaches, they get better and they think about things differently. And I want to jump into my favorite subject, which is if you are within earshot of this broadcast, we are retiring the phrase soft skills. We are replacing it with power skills. Soft skills undermines how important they really are. And power skills are tenets of modern leadership. So let me give you an example. So I was managing I was a client exec at IBM. I was managing a huge account. I had $150 million quota. And this account we had strings attached on every side. It was that we were business partners, we were competitors, and we were each other's clients. So we had to be really thoughtful about the things we did with this client. And I was presenting my plan to my boss. She was a new boss to me, but someone I had known for many years. And so I started to present my plan. And she says to me about halfway through, and she says, "Girl, I've got your back. Now fly."
Ooh.
And those words were they took my breath away then. They still take my breath away now. And that moment told me my boss has my back. If I screw up, if I fail, she's got me. And so I, in turn, turned around to the 55 people that were on my team. These were not my direct reports. These were people that were all covering my same account. And I had to invite them to want to work in my space. I had to create the most fun, the most lucrative, the most connected space they could be, because they had choices. They could go work other places. But I turned that around and I basically said, you guys, we have an opportunity to think differently. We've got a way, we've got people cheering us on and saying, if we fail, they're here to help us. So what can we do differently? Who haven't we spoken with? What haven't we tried? And because I had that sense of support, we were unstoppable. We went and closed the largest deal any of us had ever seen. It was a $23 million deal. We changed the relationship between the client and my company. And it was so empowering. We crushed it. We made shit tons of money. I don't know if I can say that. Crap tons of money. Sorry. But we really changed the way we engaged with each other. And it was all stemming from that moment. So don't underestimate how impactful words can be when you are a leader. And hey, even if you're not a leader with direct reports, you still have an opportunity to lead. You still can influence people around you. And just like I said there, these people didn't report to me, but I had to really make them want to work with me. So they did. And we were weird and unconventional. And I loved that about us.
Wow.
And it really made a difference.
My goodness. I mean, that's a fantastic, phenomenal story and a success, right? And how do you manage that? As obviously as a top leader that you are and everything that you've done in your stellar career, what are some of the common pitfalls that organizations fall into just because they don't know how to cultivate that work environment?
So Sia, you'll appreciate this because I know you're a salesperson. So I came from sales. My whole career has been in sales. And I think the biggest thing that I see, the biggest faux pas, is when leaders take top performers and they promote them to managers. And the reason this is such a problem is because most of the time in sales, the top performers are motivated by their wallet. And that's not a bad thing. Great sellers can stay great sellers and have a super lucrative career. I had a rep, she was making $1 million commission checks, but she did not like people and she didn't care about people and she would have been the worst manager ever. So what happens when they put these people in positions of power? A few things occur. One, the top performer can't understand why their team doesn't get their method. And so they get frustrated. And so they micromanage. And then they want to fire people because the people don't understand what they're trying to do. And they just haven't been properly trained. So you have to ask this question: why do you want to be a manager? And you want to listen for things like, I like to see people win. I think that I've learned how to create an environment where people feel a sense of trust and psychological safety, and giving us this opportunity for growth and to let people shine. That's what I love. That's why I want to be a leader. Now, someone might not say it exactly like that, but if they say, or they're implying it's the next stop on their career or the next rung on the ladder, yeah, it likely is. But if you are in charge and you are putting leaders in positions of power, be so thoughtful about who you're putting in those positions, because when you do damage as a toxic leader, that is very hard to unwind, and you will lose your top performers. You will be breeding a culture of mediocrity, and it is so hard to come back from that.
I know, Sia. I know You were gonna jump in. Go ahead.
I want to say something, but my boyfriend decided to do the dishes in the background. I don't know if you can hear him.
No.
Um, you know what people need to understand when you do elevate and you move around promotions, just because you're the top performing person means you have the skill sets to be a top performing manager. It's totally two different skills. It's two different ways of
It is.
communication. I'm trying to talk over the dishes he's
We
doing.
can't hear it. You're
Go
good.
ahead.
Okay, good, because I'm laughing right now because I'm like over like speaking. But the assumption is just because you're good at sales and communication with your clients does not necessarily translate that you can communicate with the management team and executive management, that you can articulate the same things, you can drive and inspire a team.
Yeah.
It is power skills on a different level, right?
Yeah. Well,
And it sucks a little bit because for those that do desire, they are top performers because they're coin operated, as I like to
yeah.
say. You sometimes don't make as much as a manager. So it
That's right.
has to be a position of passion that you want to enable your team to succeed, because a lot of times those managers aren't making anywhere near as much as their quote employees.
So
And
I
that
love that you
really
said
gets me
that.
too.
And I think one of the biggest things I advise leaders to do is, especially in sales, you always have your forecast calls, you have your business check-ins, but you need that extra time to get to know your people. And some of
Yes.
the questions you need to be asking, one of them, which I asked, it's a deeply humbling question, and you are admitting you don't know everything, but guess what? No leader does. So the question that you need to ask is, how can I be the best leader for you? And when you ask that question, you are going to get wildly different answers from everyone you ask. Some people are going to say, stay the hell out of my way, just be my escalation point. Others are going to say, can we do some role playing? Can we do some coaching? I don't think I'm doing this right. I think I'm missing something. Some people will say, I don't understand my job. I came over here from an acquisition. I was lopped on this team. I don't know what I'm doing. So you have to meet people where they are. But another question that you should be asking is, what do you think you're really good at? What are you known for? And what do you think you want to improve upon? When you understand those things, then you can delegate. You can give people opportunities to shine. And you can say, hey, I know you're really good at analytics, Rocky. Do you want to run point on this? I've got your back, and I'm going to have you present, but I'll be right with you. And I want to help you do an awesome job. I want people to know how good you are at this. When you give people that kind of autonomy, they will do anything for you. And I did this as a leader. I gave people so many opportunities to shine. And you know what? It made me a generous leader. All of these guys that think the ideas have to be mine, I need credit in order for me to be perceived as a great leader, you got it wrong. Your people are a direct reflection of you. And when they are doing something great, you look great. So
Preach, sister, preach. Oh my God.
I've stepped away from corporate America 7 years now. Damn, time flies. But I will say this. I want to give a shout out to Tim Lee, who's currently at Fortinet. I want to tell the world what an amazing manager, boss, whatever you want to call it, team lead, whatever. He was the best manager. We would be in meetings and he would be supportive of anything that I did, and I ran those meetings. And if there was the client, there was one particular individual who would just not accept me in a leadership role. So anytime that he had a question, he would look directly to my boss, and Tim would bring it right back and be like, Sia knows that answer. I don't. And I cannot tell you how empowering that gave me to say, hell yeah, this is my meeting. And I owned that space. And that person who just culturally would not respect me, he had to listen to me in front of his bosses because my boss put him in his place. And it was so good. So shout out Tim Lee, and Lyndsay, you just nailed it, because if a manager can show the world how awesome their team is, it just makes the world, the interaction with clients and your other team members internally, understand the value you bring, and you value them, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
Maria
Girl.
Rouse just said something, and I can't read the comment anymore because it's scrolled, but she was talking, I think, about can you scroll up a little? I can't see it.
To admit that you need more explanation.
Yeah. Okay.
Which one?
So here's the deal. When you are a new leader, the best thing you could do, because you are likely replacing another leader, the best thing you could do is go on a listening tour. And the listening
Yes.
tour is to say, okay, guys, tell me what's working. What do you love about this team? What do you want to fix? Doesn't mean I'm going to fix everything, but I want to understand the culture, the politics, how you guys interact on the team, where you really want to see, look for improvement. Because when you are a new leader, here's what happens. If you are following a great leader, as soon as that leader leaves, there is this vacuum and people are stressed. They are concerned, they are scared, they don't know what's coming, and their lives could potentially change in a really negative way. So to come in, rather than say there's a new sheriff in town and this is the way I do it and it's my way or the highway, when you do that, you are breaking any tiny threads of trust that might just be there by nature of your title. Now, if you stop and you go on this listening tour and you ask, you're not making promises. You are listening. You are collecting information. You're getting everybody's take on how things are. And when you do that, you're smarter. You're showing up as empathetic. You're showing up as authentic because you don't have all the answers. And I always said as a leader, I'm not the smartest one in the room. You guys are in the trenches. You're hearing things that are different. How can I help us? What can we do differently? I want to hear your ideas. But those ideas will only come if there's trust and if there's psychological safety. And it's your responsibility as a leader to provide that.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna have to like pause because you guys are rapid fire, like just going nuggets everywhere. It's like perpetual nuggets of wisdom being dropped here, y'all. Like no joke. So if we could do a whole series just on the items that we just discussed, up to now. But for me, what I hear more than anything, what I hear is having that humility, remaining humble as a leader, saying, I don't know everything, but because of my team and the people who I have and that trust, I know that we can actually pull through together. We can make these things work. Now, one of the things, we talk about pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but as we shifted to more remote work, do you think that actually affected how, the culture at work, in our workplace?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I do. I do. And I think it forced leaders to think differently. I'll give you a great story. I had a team of about 85 people, and a lot of them were coming. I called them the island of misfit toys. They were coming from all different parts of the company. They didn't care about each other. They didn't know each other. They didn't want to know each other. They're like, you sell that weird stuff? I don't even know what that is. And they weren't making time for each other. And I saw this as an opportunity. I needed them to care about each other for a bunch of reasons. So what I did was I created a Kahoot. And if anybody's ever done a Kahoot, it's basically a multimedia quiz. They're very fun. But I asked all of the people on my team, I said, send me a little nugget about yourself that nobody else on the team knows. And so I had 45 of these. And so I created this quiz. And one of the examples, or one of the questions was, this person has visited every major ballpark in North America but one. And they had 3 men and 1 woman to choose from. And so everybody guessed the men. And of course, it was Marsha. And so everyone's like, no way, Marsha, that's so cool. So every time we got on a call with Marsha, someone would ask her a question about what's left, when are you going? And all of a sudden, Marsha looked different to them. She was now a person. She was actually more interesting. And this was just the tiny bits of forging connection. Now, the next thing I did, which was really important, we built a storytelling practice. And what I told everybody was, I want you to curate a story about the products that you sell, but you're going to say it in a way that you're going to tell it to my retired school teacher mother. So no acronyms, no technical jargon. We've got to simplify and make it really easy to understand. And so everybody on the team was responsible for telling a story. And so I started featuring them on our team calls. And I would say, okay, Sia, it's your turn. You're going to tell your story. And so what started happening was all these light bulbs started going off, that's what that does? Oh, that complements what I sell so nicely. I need to introduce you to Kevin because he's my customer. He needs that. Okay, let's talk. And so we started having all of these moments where people were recognizing, I get why we're together now. I get why this is important. So then we turned it external and we invited business partners and our customers to these calls. And so we were getting like 500 people attending these calls. And I had a few business partners call me. They're like, dude, I had no idea that's what that did. I'm changing my whole strategy because that fits so beautifully into what I've been selling all this time. And so when now everybody's connected, we understand each other, we can talk about why you need to go and meet so and so on the team and why they're important to your strategy, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. So all of those things were moments of creating psychological safety, creating trust, giving people an opportunity to shine, but it forged connection, which inspired innovation. It created new best practices. It allowed people to be vulnerable in front of each other and say, I'm having a hard time with my story. What did you do? Oh, and they listened. They listened to each other. Active listening is so, so important. It's a great power skill. So many good things came out of this. I hope that kind of illustrates some easy ways to, amp up your leadership style.
Oh my gosh. Not only did it illustrate it, but it really paints the full picture in that regard because it's injecting the human back into
Yeah.
humanity. And I think that is one of the most important factors, honestly, when dealing with groups, when wanting to connect. And I mentioned this yesterday and during Denise's show that as humans, innately, we have a desire and a need to connect with one another.
Yeah.
If that line of connection is not there in any
Yeah.
setting, you know that they're going to be discombobulated,
Yeah.
honestly. So for
Well,
me, that's very important. Go ahead.
but this answered your question about being remote. So
Hmm.
this team was entirely remote. And many of them had never met each other. And I had never met so many of them. So we had to forge some kind of interest in each other. And that was really important. But all of that were cultural moves. That was all. And hey, I called my team Mavericks and Hustlers. They wore
Oh,
that like a badge. And we were weird and unconventional, and we did things differently. And everybody around me, all the men that were on either side of me running their own teams, are like, I don't know what Dowd's doing over there. It's weird. They've got storytelling programs, they've got things I've never heard of. I loved that. I was so proud. I thought that was like the coolest thing, to be weird.
let's start reframing. Instead of weird is unique as
Yeah,
the
well, weird's
essence.
good. I
Just
celebrated.
no, and I love it. I love it because we own that. We own that. It's not soft skills, but it's a power skill. So
Yeah,
everyone hashtag power skills because I
our
love
skills.
that. I love it. Thank you so much for bringing awareness of that. And because we do need those little its and bits. Authenticity for me is
Mm,
at the top of the chain when it comes to actually giving people that validation. I see you. I
yeah.
understand you. Now, how can we connect and make this work as a unit? And
Mm,
many workplaces like that. So, moving forward, how, like, what is it that differentiates you
mm.
from just, because you have a unique, just like that spice that you have, Lindsay, it's amazing. So, tell us a little bit more about it.
I mean, I like to think I'm a weird combination, not a weird combination, a unique combination of a lot of corporate experience with a lot of heart. And because I walked in these shoes and because I led big teams, I know what works. And we've all had those terrible leaders. You learn more from the terrible than you do from the great. But in my book, I tell stories about all of it. And between my book and my podcast, being on shows like this, I'm trying to consistently illustrate how to do good leadership, what it feels like, what it looks like. And there's a lot of ways to do it. I don't want everybody to have the same style of leadership. We don't want that. We want everybody to lead with their own character, their own purpose. But there are some tenets that should be universally accepted. And my goal in life is to transform leadership as we know it. And if I can make a dent, I'm going to try. And so that's really what my purpose is. And I think my background sets me up nicely for this kind of work. So
Oh,
I gotta
it's
tell you right
fun.
there, the fact that if you can just make one manager effective,
Yeah.
collaborative, supportive, it multiplies, right? You've got an entire team now of people. Like I said, I gave Tim Lee a shout out from 7 fracking years ago, people,
mm,
Yeah.
but it's made
It's
such a
never too
profound
late.
impact for me and my self-value. And
Yes.
now that I'm mature, I can pay it forward, right, to the next gen, right? And
I love
that's
that you
where
said that.
what you're doing is so critical and important. And by the way, thank you everyone that's like on today. We're over 100 people listening.
God.
So think about
That's so
all
great.
these people alone, Lindsay, that are
Oh,
listening and
great.
saying, "Heck yeah."
That makes
And
me
I
really
love
happy.
that storytelling that you just mentioned because
Yeah.
I say this to everybody. Anytime you're a content creator, if you can connect an emotion to a
Yeah.
concept, people will relate and remember. And that
Amen.
to me, again, is a win too. So thank you, thank you. I'm like fangirling. And by the way, there's a lot of
Yes.
folks here that are fangirling, fan mailing. Fan mailing? Is that even a word? Fanning me?
Wait, it is now.
It is now. I'm making up terms. We're doing it.
It's all good, but it's it's part of that what you would call for you irresistible, right? That irresistible culture that
Yeah.
so differentiates you. So what are some of those key elements, right, of that irresistible
Um,
culture that moving forwards, what are some of the things that you see being implemented?
yeah. So let's first talk about free beer and ping pong tables.
Hi.
That is not culture. Those are perks. And you can do all the swag in the world. You can buy hats and backpacks and shirts. But if your company culture sucks, it's going
Mm,
right in the Goodwill bin. So if you are going to invest in those kinds of things, you better have all the other stuff in place first. And there are so many ways to change the culture that you're in. And Sia, you giving the shout out to Tim. Let me just
mm,
give everybody a little moment of homework. So I teach a LinkedIn workshop. And as I already said, LinkedIn is so, so vital to my success and the people around me. But one of the easiest things you can do to lift each other up is to write an unsolicited recommendation. So I would challenge all of you to go write a recommendation on LinkedIn for 3 people. Do it this next week. First of all, the person that's going to get that recommendation is going to be delighted. They're going to be overwhelmed. They're going to feel so touched that you thought of them, but they will also likely turn around and give you one in return. And the guideline for recommendations is you don't want them to be more than a year old, but ideally you want them 6 months or less. So that's one way of doing it. Now, that's using
mm,
LinkedIn. But if you're in a corporate setting, one of the easiest things you can do is a shout out and send their manager a note. I have to tell you how absolutely amazing Stephen Ang is. He is
oh,
doing this, doing that, whatever you're going to say. And everybody, this is a very important thing. Make a folder in your email. I called it pats on the back. You can call it kudos. You can call it awards, whatever you want to call it. And anytime you get one of those, it goes in that folder and send it home because God forbid you get laid off, you lose it. So all of these things go towards something. It's a technique that I do when I coach and we build our brag book. And your brag book is all of the
ooh,
recognition you've ever received in any job you've ever had, your certifications, your awards, your podcast, if you were published in an article, if you were whatever it is, it goes in your brag book. And the reason you do this, by the way, this is a living document. So this follows you in your career. But the reason you do this is if you're interviewing or if you're being
mhm,
asked for a collab or a partnership, it is right there at your fingertips. Somebody says, "Hey, have you ever experienced da-da-da?" Oh, actually, I did. In fact, let me tell you about it. And I got an award for that. Because when you are in the hot seat, you're not thinking clearly. You're not remembering all of your good things. And one more thing on this, these are facts. These are not feelings. Don't be shy about talking about your accomplishments. If you don't
Yes.
boast on yourself, nobody else will. So, Rocky asked me, how do I differentiate myself? Well, I know I'm good at a few things. And it took me
yes,
51 years to be able to
yes.
say that loudly, but I know I'm good at these things. So I'm not going to be shy about it. And I want people to know, hey, I'm an expert in this space and I've got the chops to show.
Oh,
So build your brag book, keep that with you. That's so, so important for your development, for your career, and it makes you feel good.
Yes. I'm over here
Okay,
trying to hush myself because I'm like, yes, yes, keep
I'm like
going.
making weird. Okay, I have to just add this because you know what? Damn it, we haven't done it, and you know me how I like to play. Celebrate, preaching, preaching. All right,
Yes. Yes.
I love that brag. You know what it is? Because I have a saying, Lindsay, and it's my own saying, and I don't care what anyone says. It's my own saying. All ships rise with the tide. When you celebrate others and you give
That's
them
right.
that, just what you're giving is that attaboy, attagirl, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
that one split second of appreciation,
It's
because
huge.
time is valuable. And when you give a thought to someone, that is so immeasurable. It's infinitely received for that
Yeah.
Yep.
individual. But damn it,
Yeah.
you give them that serotonin rush of frack yeah, thank you. Because sometimes
Yes.
we're not very gracious to our own selves. So as
No.
leaders, what I find fascinating
Oh God.
is that negative talk. Love yourself too, people. Give yourself an atta
Yes.
girl, atta boy, whatever you want to call it. Like, you know what? We don't see this enough,
Attaboy.
and some people call it like bragging. It's not bragging if you have accomplished something to say, "Hey, LinkedIn, I'm really proud that I did X." That's okay.
Mhm.
Celebrate yourself because we don't remember it. We're in our own worlds. So heck
I
yeah,
love
girl. Wait, one more
I love
time.
that you
If I
I
may,
yeah.
it's not bragging, it's stating facts.
Facts,
Hashtag
not
that.
feelings.
There we go. Okay.
I will say this, if you this is a hot LinkedIn tip. So in your
Ooh.
experience section where you have all of your jobs listed, put the most impactful thing or the biggest award or your biggest deal as the top line, because when you're looking at somebody's LinkedIn profile, most of the people aren't going to open that up. They'll only see that top line. So put the
Mhm.
most punch in your face, like badass thing you've ever done on that top line, and they're going to see one thing after another that you are really good at.
No, and you
Mm,
bring a very important point is because, people literally only have like 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds to actually see what you do and decipher
Six.
what you do
Six.
from
Mhm.
your headline. So it's important for you to drive that point, like
Yeah.
nail it. And some individuals don't know this because they just look at LinkedIn in a non-traditional way, or in a traditional way, I'll just say
Yeah.
it's just a job site, right?
Well, and your LinkedIn profile is your landing page. If
Mhm.
you are Googled, that is the first thing that is going to come up. So, but please,
Yep.
for the love of Pete, do not give up your banner to a skyline or a
mm.
beach or, some pretty picture. That is a huge chunk of real estate. Own
Yep.
it. It's yours. And your headline is the most important piece of your entire LinkedIn profile, because that's what follows you around as you're commenting and engaging with other people. So give it some thought. And you guys, you are 360-degree humans. You
Mhm.
should not only say, I am vice president of development. You are so much more than that. I encourage you to add a little bit of personality, a little bit of personal stuff. Mine
Oof.
says I'm a mom of twins and I love wiener dogs, which I do. She's right behind me. But do you know how many people talk to me about that? I can't tell you. The first
Yes.
time I meet people, they're like, I'm a twin, or oh my God, my brother's a twin, or look, whatever.
Yep.
And then the wiener dog things, it's just a way for people to connect. So
It's
people really love
relatability.
that. Yep.
Yeah, no, I
Makes
love that. I
them.
love that you mentioned that, Lindsay, just because, again, people don't really think about it that way. They think that, they have to be like, oh, yeah, vice president of this, CISO of
That's
this. And I'm
part
like,
of it.
I was like, okay, that is your professional side, but what about you? I want to connect with you. Yeah, the transaction will come, but the connectivity is like leading with that. I always
Yeah.
say connection before transaction. It's one of the things that I lead by because it's so important, right? People will not do business with individuals they don't know, like, nor trust. So why not? Highlight as part of your headline as well. So I used to have salsa dancer. I'll teach you how to dance salsa.
Put that
Like
back
that was
on
like my
there.
life. I used to
That's
have a
great.
dancing lady
Yeah.
there.
Well, so I had a client and she's like, Lindsay, I'm a cabaret singer. Should I put that there? I'm like, absolutely. That's so cool.
Absolutely.
And so now people look at that, they're like, you're a cabaret singer? There's a woman who just joined Outlier Project and she's a hip hop dancer. And
Oh,
I'm like, I would never know that by her picture. So it's so cool that she put it there, and it makes me want to learn more.
My goodness. Yeah, I used to tell Sia, I'm like, man, I love your headline. You have Tasmanian devil, it's like of creation. You should say creation. She's like, no, Raquel, that's too much. I was like, it's your
Eh,
personality.
I know, I know.
Yes, but
I've been called many things, Raquel. Let's just leave it at that. But it's funny you should mention that because I actually added my name. I have in parentheses sleepy ears, and my boyfriend was like, "Why do you have sleepy ears on there?" And I said, "You know why? Because there's a story behind it, and if
mhm,
anyone cares, they will ask." And
yes.
when they ask, that tells me there's some curiosity and they're willing and they're
Yeah.
wanting to learn more and have a conversation. So yeah, um, uh, your headline, your image that you put up is so critical. And yes,
Yeah.
it does hurt me when I see people say VP of blah 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 or CEO. It's
Mm,
like, you know what? That
Well,
make
I
that your
don't mind if they have
secondary,
that as long
but
as they have
who
other
you are
stuff.
should be the first.
Yeah, they just have to
mhm,
have other stuff
Right.
besides it. And, it's a really funny conversation I have with my kids because they do not like that my Instagram is my business and my personal. And I'm like, guys, I'm one person. I don't have
mm,
everything. I live with a lot of purpose. So everything that I'm
mm.
doing dovetails off of each other. And they're like, yes, but we want our stuff to stay separate. I'm like, sorry, I'm a mother and I have children and you are a part of this equation. And, um, some people think differently of their brand that way, but for me, this is so much of how I show up and it's important.
Love it. And showing up is extremely important. I think that is the first step, for us in our journeys is being able to show up just as yourself, authentically you, and, impart wisdom, do as much as you can for the community. And I live by that. Collaboration is another one. But
Mhm.
I know we digressed, but it's important to touch on those things, those subtleties that people really don't take into consideration that can actually be major for their
Mm.
careers and journeys. Uh, you, and looking into the future, Lindsay. So I'm gonna shift this back to the
Mhm.
actual topic. Looking ahead, what trends do you foresee, like in the future, for workplace culture? Like,
Mm.
how can these cultures thrive with everything that is being injected?
Yeah, listen, I mean, the easiest way and, why I coach the way I coach, I work with entire C-suites to
Mhm.
really rewire the way that they lead. We work on communication, we work on, how do they vulnerability is a tough one for a lot of
Oof.
leaders. So
Yes.
if you, it's such a hot word and everybody's like, be vulnerable, it'll help you be authentic. And, these are kind of buzzwords, but for somebody who has been kind of leading like an ogre for 20 years or
Mhm.
really tough, the concept of being vulnerable and them sharing they were bad at something is not real appetizing. So the way that I teach this is vulnerability is a spectrum. So
Mhm.
you can go really light and be like, did anybody slip on the ice today? I fell and I hurt my butt. I'm so
Oh
sore.
my God.
You're not saying you're bad at anything. You're just giving someone an opportunity to relate to you. And that's really what vulnerability invites. Now, you if you're a CFO and you say, I was the worst accountant ever, sure, that's really vulnerable. Does it mean you're a bad CFO? No. It just means that you grew from that moment. And I think having leaders embrace the humanness and really being able to hone in on those power skills, that's what everybody asked for in the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation, we saw people leaving their companies in droves without jobs to go to. They had had enough. They demanded to be treated better. They were so over this, I'm working crazy hours for you. You don't appreciate me. You don't highlight anything I'm doing. You've passed me over for promotions, like enough. And so I really do feel like that shifted things in the way that leaders had to think about their employees. And I look at companies led by like Sir Richard Branson, who always puts his people first. And when he takes care of his people, they take care of their clients. That is a modern leadership mindset. Simon Sinek talks about it all the time. Brene Brown talks about it in her own way. And when you really kind of focus on the heartbeats, not head count, that's a hashtag I always use. And you
Love it.
remember that there are people that you serve because you are serving people as a leader, whether you are a mid-level manager, a VP, an SVP, a GM, a C-suite, you are responsible to these people. And if you are so fractured away from your mission, you need to find a way to get back to that. So for me, what I look at as the trends that are changing, I think obviously the whole remote versus, in the office is a hot one. What I find really interesting about all of that is it's mostly led by men. These are men who, when you ask your employees, what do they need from you? I'm part of that sandwich generation. We take care of our parents. We take care of our children. Some of these people might answer, I need flexibility. If you can give me flexibility, I'll give you everything. And ask people what they need is super, super important. And sometimes it's really freaking easy to give them what they need. And this whole, like, you must be in the office in order to be doing a good job. It's such nonsense. It really, really is. And I'll tell you what's really happening here, because I just talked about this last night. There is a company I know very well. They demanded you must be in the office 3 days a week if you are a manager. So you know what happens? They badge in, they stay for 10 minutes, they leave, and they go work from home. So they're getting the credit for being in the office. They have the badge records, but is that doing anything good for anyone? No.
It's counterintuitive. I mean, it is so demoralizing to do bullshit, hockey puck. And it's the weirdest thing that you say that, because wow, that kills your vibe, man. That you can't kill morale faster when you don't enable someone to just let them be. Raquel and I talk about this all the time. Sure, there are some tasks in your job that are timely. Maybe if someone's waiting, if you're like part of the chain and you got to kind of workflow it, right? But you know what? In this day and age, people, if you got to do your job at 2 in the morning, because that's the time your brain activates, I don't give a crap. Like, as long as it's done, you know what I mean? If your kid has a recital, I don't want you to work while your kid has a recital. Like, that just, girl, you are just.
Well, so I have a really good friend, Jody Thompson, and she does what I do as well. And she actually commissioned a study where they measured cortisol in both the employees and their families, from those who were working from home and had autonomy versus in the office. And the results were really mind-boggling in a good way for remote work. People were much more at ease. They were much healthier than the ones that were forced to come into the office. And I mean, it's not a hard conclusion to draw, but it's really impressive when it's backed with science that it's not the answer to everything. And she's writing a book called The Autonomy Economy. It's not out yet, but give your people the space to do the jobs they were hired for. They will shine. They will do the things that you need them to do. They will show you loyalty. And in a world where there is no more company loyalty and people don't quit companies, they quit managers, you need that from your people. You need to build that trust. Trust is your currency. And if you don't have that, you don't have much.
Truth bombs, perpetual on steroid. I'm telling you, Lyndsay, I don't know. He's like, we're just dropping. You can write a book, an entire book, just basically on what you just said in these last 50 minutes, y'all.
I did.
Wow. So yes, you could write another one. Let's tell us a little bit about your book and where we can find it.
Sure.
Just because it's an amazing. I mean, the nuggets that you deliver there and the value is just unmatched.
Well, thank you. The book is called Top Down Culture, Revolutionizing Leadership to Drive Results. And the whole point of all of this is results. I mean, having a good feeling of where you work is nice, but if it doesn't make people perform, what's the point? So the book is rife with stories, tons and tons of stories of the good, the bad, and everything in between. But I really wanted to illustrate what good leadership looks and feels like and what not to do. And so it's my methodology. It was very easy to write. I had so much material. And it is, one more way for people to find how to do this, how to change the way they're doing it. And guys, it's not hard. It's human. Think of how you want to be led. and be that leader. And you don't need to be a people leader to do that. So the book you can get on Amazon. I think we throw the QR code up there.
Yes.
I'd love you to check it out. And I'd love your feedback and reviews. I mean, to me, this is just one more tool in the toolbox to spread the love and help people understand there is a really great way to lead and anybody can do it.
Well, definitely keep
I have a call to
spreading.
action.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead, keep spreading. No, oh, well, oh my God, can I just tell you guys, I'm laughing because Raquel and I are moving each other. So if you see a lot of herky-jerky, it's because we're laughing because we're doing it. But anyway, call to action, everyone. I will challenge. There have been at least 11 QR code scans so far. For those that have scanned and those are about to scan, I'm all for doing a little book club. Shout out Benita, if you
Ooh,
want to do this book.
yeah.
I love it.
I challenge whoever wants to participate with me and Raquel, let us read it and
Yes.
let's talk about it because I'm all for it. So you guys, whoever scans, hit me up and Raquel up. Let's do a book club and let's challenge Lyndsay a little bit here with her book and maybe she can give us insights of our findings of what she's put out.
Yes.
Guys, let's do
Yes.
this.
Love
Love
that.
that.
I think that's such a
Thank
great
you.
idea. Definitely such a great idea. And shout out to Avil Beckford, and she also does, the book. So thank you so much for the support. And to me, it's one of those things like, okay, we bring this. We're on LinkedIn. We lead by example, and Lyndsay is no exception. Godly, your top leader, just, and I'm saying this with the utmost care and nurturing, that I can. Influencing, you are influencing that space, you are leading it. And my gosh, I'm just so honored to really know you, to really be, right there with you and learn from you every single day. So one last thing, do tell the individuals, we talked about your book, but how can they reach you?
Yeah, so the easiest thing is to go to my website, Heartbeat for Hire. All of my socials are connected there. The book is connected there. The workshops that I do are all there. But I'm super active on LinkedIn. If we're not already connected, please connect with me. I love meeting new people. I love being connected to new people. I am always inspired by the incredible things I see out there. And all of my content that is on LinkedIn is also on my other socials. So I have a YouTube channel with my podcast. Would love you to check it out and subscribe. That is the best way to support an entrepreneur. So whether it's writing a review, subscribing to a YouTube channel, I don't think people that are not entrepreneurs fully understand this, but those things are so meaningful. Reviews
Mhm.
are so meaningful. And if you liked what you heard, show some love. It is so appreciated, honestly. And for anybody with a YouTube channel, you know this. But when you get to 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize. So I'm on this push. I'm told daily by a lot of people that my SEO isn't up to snuff and I've got all these backlink problems. Oh, well, but it's there and it's great content. And I think we tell some really great stories. So I hope they inspire you.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even get started on the whole your SEO needs to be reworked, DMs on
Well, anyone that gets
LinkedIn.
my out of office knows exactly where this is coming from. So yeah, it's
Yeah, no,
pretty
I
fun.
just think it's hilarious. We went on a rant on that yesterday, so we're not gonna do it here today, but people know what we're talking about, the whole
Oh
pitch
yeah.
slapping.
Oh
But
yeah.
Lyndsay, I'm not even gonna, prod your brain. I'm not gonna pick your brain anymore because you've delivered so much value during the show. I'm blown away, and I hope the audience really walks away. And I hope you guys were
Oh, thank
taking
you.
notes. And please hashtag team replay if you believe, if you have someone in your network who can benefit from the information that was delivered today, which I know everyone can. Every single one of us who are on this platform can definitely take and internalize many of the golden nuggets that were dropped here. So, Lyndsay, are there any parting words, anything you would like to say before we, sign off?
I just think it's so important for you to live in your purpose. And whether that is through a corporate job or being an entrepreneur, you have to find your why. And sometimes when you're working for someone else, it's hard to do that. And especially when the mission is defined by somebody else. But when I had all those corporate jobs, I had to get behind what I was selling. Sia said it at the top. Whenever you're good at something and you really can get passionate about it, you're going to just light the world on fire. So
Mm.
find that purpose, find your why, and it will always serve you well. It will act as a really good moral compass, but you're just going to be better.
Love it. Love it. Oh my goodness. Miss Sia, would you like some parting words? I know you have a lot to say about this.
No, this is so inspiring, and, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time to
Yep.
talk to us.
My pleasure.
I mean, guys, I'm going to, like, cut these up into shorts that everyone
Shorts.
can just digestible, and everyone just please, it's so great and inspiring to excel, to do more, to be more, to get more. You know what I mean? So just put yourself out there. Lindsay, you've been awesome. Thank you so much. I mean,
Thanks for
damn.
having me.
Oh my God. Well, from my
Mm-mm-mm.
side to you guys, definitely thank you, Lindsay. It's an honor. And like I said, I appreciate you. And I'm just so happy that we are in the same tribe, that we are, walking together in unison for making the communities, making the workplaces even better. From me to you all, thank you to the audience members who are still here. My goodness, I am just so I'm so grateful every single day to be able to get the support from you guys. I love you. Thank you from all over the world, literally. But from me to you, check us back out in a few weeks. This show will be bi-weekly, every 2 weeks.
We're gonna do
So from me
bi-weekly.
to
Yeah.
you, yeah, we're gonna do bi-weekly. So just from me to you, I just want to tell you I have what I call my 3 L's: always live, love, and lead. And, Lindsay is a stellar example of this. When you live with authenticity, you are honoring yourself. When you love with authenticity, you're honoring others. But when you lead with authenticity, you're doing both. So keep doing both every single day, guys. And always feel free to reach out to us, connect with us. And this is what this corner is for: Connection Corner for people who are influencing and leading the way for others. So I love you all. Thank you again, ladies. And let's keep it rocking.
Thanks,
See
ladies.
you.
Love being with you.